second.
I think there's enough light. We're live.
Morning.
Possibly. Man, this camera's been on point.
Yes, it has.
What an amazing camera. So,
happy Friday as usual.
yeah, what's up, everybody? As always, we'll give people a chance to kind of work their way in here.
Share this one in just a minute.
Mm-hmm.
If this is terrible,
Another rise and grinds. Yeah, it should be just great.
It's terrible. Don't judge me.
Yeah.
I really have no idea.
Yeah. We'll see.
There you are, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Little coffee to start off our morning.
Featuring the Martin City Coffee Stout. Any good?
That's good. It's my day off. Don't judge me.
It actually is really good.
Yeah, that's pretty roasty too. So.
Yeah. It's my day off. Don't judge me. Me too.
Yeah, we were gonna say if we start drinking beer on these things, then the name won't really fit.
Yeah, so
we'll have to rename it Hop to It or something
yeah.
like that, or Rise and Hop. That didn't have the same.
Rising, yeah.
That just doesn't have the same ring to it, but loophole.
Exactly. Coffee Stout.
So anyway,
Rise
as people are filtering in here, we were thinking about moving this to 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because we had more people last time, and especially if you want to have a couple drinks with us, then. But there's a flow bowling going on, and we figured a lot of people would be watching the. Yeah.
Rising. A lot of people watching the streams, yeah.
Yeah, so there'd be more people watching the streams with us, and there was just some. We got the Tournament of Champions match play going on, and we were going to do some commentary over the top of that, but you'd have to be watching on a computer, or you'd have to have two phones right there, or tips on switching to lefty.
Nope.
Forget everything you think you knew. Yes, general tips on just a couple really short ones. Tips on switching to lefty. Start slow. I would go on ahead and start with a somewhat heavier ball, because otherwise your mechanics are going to get developed for a lighter weight ball. And then, especially if you're an adult, when kids are progressing through or just learning how to bowl to begin with, I would say start with a 14, or if you use 15, start with a 14 maybe. But start with a plastic ball and focus on the mechanics. Focus on staying slow, building it up the right way, and just kind of progress to getting everything faster and using heavier and stronger stuff. But just start with the mechanics. Well, you don't have to forget everything, but mostly everything.
Yeah, it sounds like it's definitely starting over. You don't forget everything. Yeah, some of the stuff we definitely will keep. I don't have experience doing that, so.
Yeah.
Has everybody been watching the Tournament of Champions so far on Flow?
Yeah, we were going to play one of the match play rounds from yesterday or something, but if you hadn't seen it, and we can't stream it, so it's.
I mean,
it's kind of a crapshoot. We might do something like that with the telecast one time.
That would be fun. We can do that.
So
yeah. Sit here
but you'd have either had to seen it, or we can turn it on here, and it'd be one of those things where I'll plan it in advance so that you can make sure that you're on a computer, so that you can be watching the tournament and having us at the same time.
You mean you wouldn't have to listen to Randy Peterson?
Yeah.
People could turn their sound down and actually listen to us talk? That might be worse.
Belmo's really good, though.
Belmo is actually, I was going to say that today, that he's doing a fantastic job. I can see Fox keeping him around doing that a lot more.
Yeah, so I think Belmo's got a guaranteed job when he's decided he's done bowling, which is not going to be for another 20 years anyway.
If he decides that he actually wants to live in the United States and work like that.
Yeah, it's going to be a little while, but I think that having him on the shows,
he's probably going to take
is going to be pretty cool. Now, at the same time, it's got to be one of those things where he would rather be. No stream today. I am streaming right now, Jameson. I don't know what you're doing. Everybody give it to James when he shows up.
Scores were really big. Yes, they've kind of tapered off there last night. I don't know if you caught any of match play, but looks like the more and more they put that pattern down and strip and rerun it, it's starting to play a little tougher.
Come on. So everybody has to tease James because he asked if we were on today, or no stream today. I'm like, yes, we're streaming right now. So when Shimwrecker shows up, everybody give it to him.
Yes, Tom Smallwood is looking very good. He's probably the top 3 right now are probably already locked in the show. That's how far ahead they are.
Yeah. The scores are insane, but they kind of need some of this. The players themselves are not going to like a carry contest, but even when you have a carry contest, every shot is so much more important.
That's so true.
You kind of understand, especially if you're bowling qualifying or something, and you get tapped a couple times and shoot 230 when everybody else is still shooting 250 or 260. That's
it's
whatever, but it's important for the viewers to be able to see how much better the pros are than we are.
Oh yeah, I'm still tired of this basic house shot stuff for majors though. It's driving me insane.
Yeah, it should be tougher. It shouldn't be like US Open tough most of the time, but It should be like Masters tough or something that's scoreable if you make good shots, but still going to keep you more honest than what's been going on the TV shows. The problem is the average league bowler, they just see the final score.
Oh yeah,
that's all they see is the final score.
I mean, these guys are literally just getting left and slow wheeling it and wheeling on it all 6-game blocks, and they've just got the whole lane.
Yeah. Morning, Richard. We are doing fantastic. Aside from borking, I actually had a higher score going in last night than Trevor did.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He shot 800. I shot
front 8
690.
game 1, right?
Yeah, I had the front 8 game 1, and it was a drive-by 8 this time. So yes, this is continuing my thing of having the front 8 and getting some tap, some kind of tap in the 9th frame. But I threw it really well last night. I missed a move. Thank you to Jeremy Hirschman, by the way. He pre-bowled last Sunday when we were done doing our stuff.
Yep.
And I kind of felt off the last couple weeks, or at least there was something wrong at Southwest. There was something wrong Friday night when we bowled.
Just mechanics?
Yeah, just mechanics. And it was something that I was kind of making up for, but I was missing a lot more 7 pins for some reason, and something was just off. And so I stuck around and practiced after we got done with league, because league didn't go very good either. I think I shot 190 the first game. Still got to 650, but...
Oh, last Sunday?
Yeah, last Sunday. So
you actually broke the streak before that.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought, sorry.
So I stuck around and practiced some things, and then when Jeremy was done pre-bowling, he came over and helped me with the 7 pins, and I shot a whole game of nothing but those, and he noticed something. I was standing up and then kind of lunging at the pin.
Okay.
And the other thing, too, is I was getting a little too rigid and tight in my approach.
Right.
And then I was trying to lay out of the ball, so if I'm all tightened up and then trying to soften out of the ball, it was completely the opposite of how I had been doing it, which I'm just very, soft and relaxed. And I get up there and kind of what Trevor is. He's very, very loose until he gets to the bottom. And then he kind of gives it the business and gets through it good. And so I just flipped those and instantly, 520 out of the gates. And then the thing that I am missing about the left side right now is that bowling ball choices and matching up is more important, it seems to be, than on the right side of the lane. Because on the right side of the lane, you're kind of going up and down. You're going through, if a ball looks good, the lanes are going to change. You're going to move around, whatever, you can adjust some things. But if I lose the look with something, I have to switch to something else. And I've never understood why Trevor switched balls so much.
Switches a lot.
If you start getting tapped, there's just not the transition that shows up fast enough to recover from that or to make up for it. And so I had 520 going, but it started getting just a little soft down lane. And so I got that North Rock thing where it's just a little too slick in the middle, because I did get some carry down. My speed was up. And so I got a little bit of carry down, and the bumper, I was actually throwing it good enough that I started developing a track of my own.
Right.
So I started getting some over under, and instead of getting a different ball, instead of balling up to something like the UC2, and getting through that carry down, I thought, well, no, I can change some, or I can play with it, and by the time you mess with it, then the game's over and I shoot 170.
Yeah, because Trevor literally he'll throw 3 or 4 balls in a set.
I mean, yeah, and I never understood it because I'm like, the lanes don't change that much. Just make a little adjustment, and I'm finding out that it's not really
totally the opposite.
Every time I've tried here recently, especially now that I'm getting more consistent, every time I try to make a physical adjustment when I kind of lose the look a little bit, it just doesn't quite work out.
Right.
It just doesn't quite work. And so I'm going to start focusing on, and especially that's what I do on the right side. I mean, if you have a ball that looks good, or you have the look with that ball,
right,
I tend to stick with it throughout transition instead of taking a look at another ball. I will stick with it and just move.
Yeah, so
generally that works.
That's one thing you've done really well. I've noticed, like when take Swiss, for example, when you were throwing I think it was the fast pitch you were throwing.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at you like, you got to get out of this thing. Mm-hmm. It looked absolutely horrible at first, and then you end up throwing it all 12 games.
Yeah.
I mean, you commit to it instead of some guys would just say, I'm done with this, I'm putting it away.
Yeah.
And you committed to it. So that's
yeah. But on the right side of the lane, I think that works a whole lot better. But again, if you know that it's look and you're switching pairs, if you're staying on the same pair, then it's a little bit different. But yeah, if you find the look on the left side with something and you're moving pairs, just stick with it all day, because you're probably not going to find anything better. Now,
you've done that twice. You did that for doubles, and then you did that for Swiss, where you just had something you stuck with it all day.
Yeah.
So nice set last night, by the way, Brian.
Oh, sweet.
795, not
Game
800.
3 beat him. Yeah, he was so happy.
795 is always good. It makes you feel bad you didn't shoot 800, but you'll take 795 and run with it all day.
I had to get a big lead on Alex Jimenez last night because I had him. I'm in the 3-hole now.
Oh, okay.
And I had him, and he's one of those that, can just steamroll you in a heartbeat.
I bowled him not long ago, and he'll either shoot like high 7 on you, or he's going to shoot like a mid to low 6.
We were on 3 and 4 last night, and so the right side was a little tricky, and that's not a good lefty pair either, but I was throwing it good enough, at least the first 2 games. And I really didn't throw it bad the last game, but it just, when things get a touch off, then I started leaving the 7 pins and 10 pins, and then I'd try to help a little bit and it'd go through the face, and so it just went bad really quick. But I made all my 7 pins. 4 for 4 on 7 pins last night, and then no worries whatsoever. So
and Sunday night when we bowled, did they look different? Did they play a little different to you? I'm not sure on the left side. I thought they were tighter.
They were really hooky.
See, they were hooky down there. We were on 19 and 20, and they played a lot tighter.
Yeah, well, they were tight because if you got it, there was no miss room inside at all.
Yeah, it was the same thing with us.
More hooky and flatter, because normally that Jeff White has his. The rock to the pocket thing where he kind of tugs it and it just sits there. Oh, no. He tugged it a little bit and it was going Brooklyn. So, anyhow.
Was it the normal last night, at least?
Yeah, it was the normal last night.
Okay.
Is there a big enough separation difference between the Phase 2 IQ Nano Pearl and IQ Tour to include all 3 in the middle of an arsenal? And that will segue us into what we're actually talking about today, or what we were actually going to talk about today. After our long thing last week, somebody commented and said, "Hey, Cliff's Notes," and I'm like, yeah, it was pretty long and rambly and whatever else, and so we're gonna kind of tie up or round up the bigger points of the Coverstock thing, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about cover core pairing and hit some myths and some whatever else. Yeah, Jason said we were gonna ask about Sunday. We pre-bowled on the Saturday and they were flying. Yeah, Sunday was the same way, and it seems like if we're not bowling league, like we bowled the Lawrence City tournament, and they were the same way. They were just flying.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like they push a different button on Thursdays.
Yeah, but so anyway, is there a big enough separation difference between the Phase 2 IQ Nano Pearl and the IQ Tour to include all 3 in the middle of an arsenal? Those are 3 different cover types. So the Phase 2 is going to be the strongest and the earliest out of all of those. The IQ Tour Nano Pearl is kind of a step down from the Phase 2. It's not quite as torquey. It's once you get them broken in, the Phase 2 is still going to be the strongest. It ends up being the smoothest, actually. The Tour Nano Pearl ends up pretty smooth too. but I think the phase 2 gets a little bit more butter, just a little bit more buttery. So, and the nano pearl is kind of ends up in the same shape zone, but it's not as strong. And the IQ Tour is a little bit weaker, but it's the punchiest out of all of them just because it's got a cleaner cover on it. So I don't know. You're looking at a lot more shape overlap than total hook overlap. So it depends on if that's what you like and that's what you want or not.
Pretty good explanation there.
So, I mean, I carry the ProMotion, Tour Nano Pearl, and IQ Tour, and I'm going to switch it up tonight because I found out practicing the other night that I really like ASIMs. Yeah. And that's kind of my thing, is where I've been getting tight and a little grabby, trying to help things finish, and especially bowling at North Rock a couple times, where it's kind of, and that was my problem at Southwest all weekend, was trying to help it. And then when I eventually got the UC2 out, I'm like, oh, free back end. And so I kind of got that worked out.
Is that an ASIM?
Yeah. It's a mild ASIM, so it's kind of in the middle, but it acts like an ASIM. I mean,
I'm the same way. I like asymmetrical pieces.
Yeah, UC2's big boom. And so that got me a little bit more sorted out than I had been, but I missed all my 7 pins. So otherwise, I'd have shot 720 that second set.
Did it just give you more miss room? Is that?
It's just firmer down lane, so I don't feel like I have to help it as much. I can just fly out of it and relax, and it gets to the spot and it punches harder. So in the case where I need that, Clint Harris. Yep. Cliff's notes. So anyway, so to wrap up the Coverstock thing, we're going to talk about cover core combinations and the fact that Pearl, Hybrid, and Solid really don't have a whole lot to do with anything aside from if they're the same formula and you have the variations on the same core, then that's when you can pay attention to the designators. But otherwise, Omega Crux, High Road Pearl, they're both pearls, act nothing alike. IQ Tour Nano Pearl doesn't act like a pearl. So you can do whatever you want for days. So generally, the way that you can look at this is that the stronger the Coverstock formula is, the earlier and smoother ball reaction is going to be most of the time. So even if you have a pearl ball, like the Parallax Effect that just came out, super chuggy, tanky, and hooky, and I'm surprised that it gets as much shape as it does, but it acts more like a polished solid or something that you would think would be typically hybrid. Well, something like Parallax.
Because it's a pearl, right?
Yeah, it's a pearl. But whenever you have something that hooks more, whenever you have just in general, it's just a science thing. If the ball hooks more, it is getting more traction through the oil, and therefore not as much changes when it hits the dry, because it's already getting some traction through the oil. It's just getting more traction at the end of the dry. Now, if you have something that's a lot more responsive, which is an E-Trax cover, R2S cover, it's not getting as much traction through the oil, and so when it hits the dry, all of a sudden it goes from hydroplane to hard friction, and so it goes. So if you have something like the IQ Tour Nano Pearl and the IQ Tour is a solid, and it is more responsive and sharper on the back end than the IQ Tour Nano Pearl is. So the solid is more responsive, quicker, sharper, has more back end than the Tour Nano Pearl, even though it's a solid versus a pearl. But they're different formulas. The NRG formula is a lot stronger than R2S. And so it's going to get more traction earlier. It's going to be smoother on the dry. And so that's where you end up having that kind of backwards thing where the solid actually out back ends the pearl due to being different formulas. So it is kind of a big deal to learn the formula, the different formula types. Luckily, again, I think that Storm and Rotogrip make it easier. I don't know what's going on with the global stuff right now because the number in their cover formula just indicates strength, really. But you can't tell. That doesn't really tell you what kind of strength it is.
Really?
So it just, if they have a number to it, but if they had like a number to,
you don't think that they're putting I guess you'd know, are they putting Storm like R2S or anything in their new stuff at all?
I would imagine there's Storm based covers anyway.
I mean, because like take example the Zen, like we've talked about, it looks like a quicker off the spot Axiom Pearl. So like I don't know. You just think that it's got some of the same stuff in it that's got the accent.
I think it would have to be, and I think that they mix and match a little bit, but I have no idea what they're doing with the global
Just
stuff.
curious.
So,
or
yeah.
they're putting like an R2S or something like that in there, and they're just not telling you. They're just saying, hey, but we're calling it this.
Yeah, they're kind of rebranding it a little bit, but I don't think it's like straight. I don't think that they're putting the straight up covers on there.
Right.
I think that they are kind of mixing and blending and whatever else. So I don't know what cover is on the Zen. It's not NEX. It's not NRG. It might be something in the middle. It's not like an R3S. It might be like an R2X or something, like a Marvel Pearl cover.
It looks like an Easter egg going down the lane.
Yeah, it looks great.
Good looking piece.
But pro tip, join Patreon.
Yep. It's one thing that Storm, Roto, now Global, what they do very well is shelf appeal.
Mm-hmm.
I will give them credit. Shelf appeal is very good.
Yeah, and I think that's a big deal for Motive.
Yeah.
The Neomark graphics and making balls that look cool.
Everything that comes out of the factory looks completely different.
Yeah.
It's like your own personal pour.
Mm-hmm.
And then putting the covers in logos in the covers is great.
Yeah, that's what James said. The Zen cover feels a lot like R2X Pearl. It's got a very Marvel Pearl-esque feel to it, so it's not quite as clean as something like a Trend that has R2S Pearl. R2X has a little bit of nano in it, and so it's going to be earlier and smoother. So that's really the difference between the Marvel Pearl cover and the Trend cover, or like an Idle Pearl cover.
Right.
So yeah, so learning the different cover stock formulas and how they relate to each other is important, because you can't just look. I'll have people all the time say, well, on paper, this is a polished hybrid, and there was a question that ended up somewhere else, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but somebody was saying, okay, so this ball has this cover stock finish on it, and this ball has a different cover stock. I can't remember what the question was.
Was this in a pro shop?
No.
When you were in the shop, or?
No, this was something
Discord
that was on SRG BBFS
days
ago.
Okay. Real Bowlers not their main market. You're exactly right.
Okay.
Hirsch.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know how the Axiom Pearl compares to the Marvel Impact? Specs say the Impact is NEX solid, but it's 1500 polished. So the Impact is NEX solid, but it's 1500 polished. Whereas the original Axiom is 3000 sanded and is NEX solid again.
Okay.
And the Axiom Pearl is 1500 polished. Doesn't that make the covers the same on the Axiom Pearl and the Impact? No, because the Impact is NEX solid polished. Yeah. The Axiom Pearl is NEX Pearl polished. They do have the same finish, but they are not the same. They're the same formula, but that doesn't make the covers the same.
I mean, it's a good question, but I'm surprised he didn't know the answer to that.
It's a good question, but it's one of those things where it's trickier on people because we've all been conditioned to say pearls are longest and snappiest, solids are earliest and smoothest, and hybrids are in between. That's not the case. Yeah. It is the case within the same formula, generally speaking, most of the time. If you take R2S, pearl's the longest and strongest, the hybrid's in the middle, and the solid's the earliest and the smoothest. Within the same formula, that people forget the context or forget the extra crucial bit of information, and they just see it as pearl, hybrid, and solid. So that's the first thing that you have to get out of your head, because, again, the IQ Tour Nano Pearl, because of the stronger cover formula, is earlier, stronger, and smoother than the IQ Tour Solid. So the Pearl and Solid thing, and again, the Omega Crux is probably the earliest and strongest Pearl ball I've ever thrown. It's also probably the smoothest one.
The Omega Crux?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
And that one just got discontinued, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, which makes sense because the Impact, or the Insight, is really close to it. Now and a lot of people have told me, it's like, well, I read it the same as, or I read it similar to the Omega, but the Omega doesn't like getting deep. The Insight does. And that's what I noticed in my video too. I said, well, they start to separate when you get deeper. The Omega still wants to be slow, and the Insight actually winds up and goes. But from, outside of third arrow, they're hard to tell apart.
I haven't seen a lot of guys throw it.
The Insight's a little bit cleaner. I'm actually going to bring it to league tonight. I need to.
Austin Bowles is the only one I've seen him throw it so far that actually looks pretty good for him. So.
Casey Murphy's looks really good.
I haven't seen his video. Austin Bowles' video looks good.
Casey likes his. Well, I like mine too. It's just, again, if I am going to be throwing something that looks like that, I'm going to be throwing an Omega or an RST or a Rubicon or something else.
It just looked good for so far from what I've seen of it. It looks really good for people that throw the ball really hard and can turn the crap out of it, a la James.
Yeah, but the Insight looks really good. I'm taking it to league tonight.
Oh, cool. Okay,
so I'm bringing that. I think I'm going to bring the Proton. I'm going to bring that back out and see what happens if I'm actually throwing it as good as I think I'm throwing it.
The Proton.
And then the Rubicon's coming and the UC2's coming. So I'm probably going to have to bring an extra bag because I'm still taking the 2 IQs in the promotion.
No joke.
Those are coming.
It's okay. We just have league tonight. No joke.
The Synergy doesn't look good at Westridge anyway, so I can kick that out of the bag. So the 3 that are, well, I'm going to have the Rubicon, the UC2, and then probably the Insight. And then I'm probably going to bring the Proton and the RST just to play around with.
Going to wear a name shirt too.
Yeah.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah. Yep. Have to.
Hey, you do it. I'll wear one.
All right, you ready for more?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
For those of you that didn't see when we first started, we're 8:30.
It is a coffee stream. I am drinking coffee.
And we're drinking this time Martin City coffee stout. It was actually really good. First time I'd had it.
It's very roasty.
That it is.
So are we seriously taking the cart to league? Probably. I don't know. Ooh. I don't necessarily have to take the Proton or the RST because I kind of know what I'm getting with those.
Yeah.
The Rubicon I haven't spent a whole lot of time with. And the UC2 I love. That's going everywhere. But the Rubicon,
I was going to say the Rubicon or the UC2.
Yeah. But the Rubicon has looked really good too. I need to get the Axiom. There's all kinds of stuff I need to get out.
The UC2 looks really good for angle.
But the better I throw it, the more balls kind of come back into the rotation or into a possibility.
And you also know down the road for tournaments and things like that. So,
yeah.
Like so my question for you is because you're bowling this weekend, right? At Aaron's.
Yeah.
37 foot.
All kinds of weird stuff's going this weekend. I'm taking the IQ bag, or the IQ promotion bag. Yeah. That's definitely going because that looks good on.
You're going to want some slow stuff for sure.
So, yes, I'm going to take both my urethane balls. The fast pitch and the pitch black are going. I'm going to take the Insight because that looks pretty good. The Omega's probably not going to make the trip anymore because I've got enough stuff that kind of overlaps that. And the last couple times I tried to use it, it ends up being too strong.
Okay.
So it's just too strong, and I end up fighting it more than anything. I've got that 2-inch pin MVP attitude, which may or may not be going. The Insight's definitely going. I'm going to take the Proton Physics because it hooks, and I'm going to take the High Road Max too.
Really?
I'm going to put some surface back on that because that's going to look.
That actually look pretty good.
Yeah, it should look nuts because it's a shorter pattern.
And it's still slow, right?
Yeah, it's still slow enough. It's strong enough to get through that volume because it's 37 feet, but it's almost 27 mils. Okay. So it's heavier volume, but it's shorter. And so the problem that most people have with that, and again, fits perfect with the cover core combinations, is that the problem that most people have with short is that they think, okay, well, it's short, so I have to use weaker equipment, which is completely the opposite of what you need to do with that most of the time.
I mean, you can throw.
If you get stronger stuff, it's going to get through that volume in the front.
Yep.
It's going to be slower or weaker off the spot. That's why people throw urethane on shorter patterns because it blends all that friction. If you use something that's weaker, it's going to glide for 37 feet and then it's going to jerk or it's going to turn sideways.
Yeah.
And so then you're going to have to move in. And then all of a sudden, if you get it out a little bit, it's going to hang. It's just going to give you over-under nightmares. So what the High Road Max is going to do, it's got that crazy strong NEX solid cover.
Right.
So if I take it back to like 2000 or something, I'm still going to get traction early, but it's going to help me push just a little bit further. The Coverstock is going to help me get traction and blend, plus the core, if it's not winding up at that point, it's actually going to give me a couple more feet of push off the end of the pattern and make it look more like a medium pattern than something else stronger would. So if I use something stronger with a stronger core, even if it's got a stronger cover, it's going to be getting traction in addition to winding up at the same time. And so it's still going to want to be earlier off the end of the pattern. So what you have to do with that is you have to have a super strong cover and you have to have a stronger surface to create that blend that you're not because it's winding up. So you need to create blend off the end of the pattern to slow the ball reaction down.
Right.
Or if you go with something like a high road, the core is going to give you a little bit more natural length, because it's not winding up as fast.
The regular high road, right?
Yeah, well, the high road max.
Oh, the max. Okay.
There's something like.
Are you going to take a regular high road too?
No.
Okay.
No, because that's way too responsive, way too flippy. Okay. So yes, it's going to help you read the pattern front to back.
Okay. See, so what I would end up taking, because I'm not going this weekend, I'll be in Wichita bowling, so I would have taken like of course, a Desert Tank, Desert Tank, and I would have taken a Venom Shock, of course. The Forge Flare probably would have seen some lane time.
Yeah, that would have seen all kinds of lane time.
Forge Flare probably would have seen some lane time. Probably would have thrown it most of the day.
That was the other thing, as I was thinking about drilling up my Crux Prime that I have plugged and waiting, and that's the thing, is that with spec on it, it's a stronger cover, it's a stronger core, but where the Omega digs in a little bit too much, the Prime, because of that cover, is a whole lot blendier. So it's going to be a whole lot slower off the end of the pattern. So it's going to give me early read and chug if I need that, and be slow. The High Road Max with that kind of volume could still be too flippy.
Yeah, okay.
It could still be too flippy.
The Ghost was the other one I was going to say. The Ghost would have seen some lane time.
Yeah. If the Prime or another stronger ball is a little too early and slow, or just too strong, then the Max is something to kind of go down into, that's got a similar strength cover, but has a core that's going to help me with more length. And so that's when the pattern doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. It depends on how the lane friction plays.
Right. Yeah.
Or how that pattern plays on those lanes. And so there's all kinds of things that you have to have swirling around here.
I think you've got a pretty good base that you're going to take there.
So back to the Coverstock wrap-up thing. Cover formula is way more important than Coverstock designator. So what the formula is more important than whether it's a pearl, a solid, or a hybrid. Because that can mean a whole lot more. Like the formula is the entire difference between something like an Omega Crux and a Crux Prime. They're both early and smooth. Well, hang on. The formula is kind of the entire difference between something more like an astrophysics and a proton physics. Because no, I'm trying to. I need to compare pearl to pearl, but I'm trying to think of something in the same line that's got there's nothing really in the same line that's got aside from something like Idol Pro versus Idol. Because they're both solids, but they have different cover formulas. So the Pro is a whole lot flippier than the Idol is. The Idol's earlier and
I don't think you really have
a handful of boards stronger, whereas the Idol Pro is longer and flippier, even though they're both
Emerald and Tornado Pearl.
Yeah, the Emerald, Emerald versus Tornado Pearl. That's the same type of idea, where the Emerald is way snappier than the Tornado Pearl is.
It was pretty strong. It was a lot stronger than what I expected, actually. What are we picking? Moving on to our next beverage in the morning. Yeah, I was a little jealous that you guys get to go bowl on 37 feet this weekend, because usually the Tour KC stuff is everything's long.
She
So
doesn't get to bowl on that at all, and so she doesn't get to use the fast pitch much.
She's going to get to use it this weekend.
She's going to get to take stuff that she doesn't want to take. So do you want to go off the rails and do a sour?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Let's see here.
I'm going to get fresh glasses for this.
Yeah, because we're drinking the coffee stout. Sorry, guys. Get in here and read some of the comments here.
So this is more, again, the sours are more my speed.
Whoa. Oh, good save. That boy.
So there's that, and there's that. This is
show them what we're going with here.
Mountain Beach by Breckenridge. Session sour, bright and tart with pineapple, lime, and guava.
Interesting.
So
not sure what I'm going to think of this one, but
yeah,
you know what? We're going to give it a.
Yeah, you might go through this one pretty quick. But we got some lighter fare. We got some Walnut River stuff that's local here. That's pretty good.
I've never had anything.
Anyway, so yes, that was the perfect thing. Is that Coverstock formula is way more important
I smell it.
than Coverstock type or designator or whatever you want to call it. Pearl does not equal pearl pearl does not equal technical pearl when.
Oh, that's actually not half bad.
Yeah.
It's not what I was expecting.
Yeah, sorry. It's not like punch you in your throat.
I smell it. I'm like,
the session sours are a little bit funky.
Oh, that sour was my fine pick.
And,
yeah, good pick. That actually is not bad at all, Angel. I was not sure what to expect on that. most places around me only put out patterns 39 to 44 feet because everyone is scared to bowl on anything shorter than 39 feet.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong, but I think a lot of your tournament bowlers that take like the Tour KCs, for example.
Yeah.
Or shootout.
This is the shortest pattern that they've.
You can't put out short stuff because a lot of people don't have the equipment for it. And when they don't have the equipment for it, well, it's gonna be a long day.
Yeah. If you don't have the equipment for it, and most people don't realize that you can get a whole lot closer, even if you don't have the equipment or a layout necessarily for it, you can get really close with surface.
Yeah.
If it's shorter, just add surface and slow the response time down. Even if it makes the ball a little bit too strong, most people think, well, they think, okay, well, the ball's already flying. If I add surface, it's just gonna hook more. It's like, no, the point is not to add traction, it's to reduce friction response.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what a lot of the time, like you see, the lanes that they've been bowling on are just fried. For all these, they've been able to use weaker stuff. They've been having to hook the whole lane.
You talking on tour stuff?
The tour stuff on the shows. They've been able to, and they've been having to hook the entire lane, and there's all the friction in the world. There's all the friction, all the hook in the world that they want. Well, Kyle Troop kind of went against the grain. He used an idle synergy, which is still a cleaner cover,
straight, yeah.
But it was sanded. He had some surface on it, and he was doing that not to make the ball hook more. He was doing that to blend it out and straighten it out a little bit more.
Which is surprising to me because I would have thought that Simo would have kind of attacked it similar because.
Well, he did. He used a trend with surface on it.
That's right. He did.
Previous,
he did go straight.
Not this last time. I didn't actually.
Oh, you're talking his region show?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he went very straight. He played actually.
Yeah.
That was Kyle Troop-esque right there.
Yeah, but it was a trend with surface on it, so it was a cleaner formula or a less aggressive formula, and he was using surface to blend the reaction out, not for traction.
Right.
So we're something like in Kyle Troop's case, something like he wanted more of like an idle shape, but that would have been way too strong of a ball.
Right.
If he has that at like 3,000 or even a little bit polished, it's going to be early and over under because it's early. It's too much ball for the amount of friction that was there. But if you take a cleaner cover and you add surface and slow that down a little bit, the ball still doesn't want to dig in quite so much as it does with a stronger cover formula. And so there was a great question we had last week is why will some people sand pearl balls? Yeah, and it's not necessarily sanding pearl balls so much as sanding shiny balls. So they want to get that shine off of there to create a little bit more blend and control the friction response, not necessarily the traction. When you're sanding something like a proton physics or an idle or something like that, you're looking for traction.
Yeah.
At that point,
solid cover anyway.
Yeah, when you're sanding a ball that strong, you're just looking for traction out and out. When you're sanding a pearl ball, you're looking for that general motion, but just a little bit more blend and forgiveness. So that's why it's important to, again, we can segue into matching the cover stocks and the cores. And we've already kind of talked a little bit about it somewhat, but that's why they end up putting several different cover types on cores, plus a couple different formulas too. The idle line saw a couple different formulas on it. The Halos had a couple different formulas on them. Let me see, whatever else. The IQ line has had a couple different formulas now. Well, it's been NRG or R2S pretty much on the IQs. But there's 3 different actually cover stock formulas on the physics line so far, because the original physics was NRG hybrid, then we had R2S Pearl, and now we have NEX solid. So we've had 3 different cover types and also 3 different cover formulas on the physics line.
Right.
And if you put all those back to back to back, you can tell that they're a physics, but if you were to have the same cover type on all of those, an R2S solid physics would look very different than an NEX solid proton physics.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just because they're so wildly different. And now that you're starting to understand the motive stuff and get a handle for what, and that's I would say that's the biggest bonus to being a staffer is you get to play around with layouts and you really get a good solid understanding of the cores and the cover stocks for that specific company.
Oh yeah. I'm still learning. every time I throw them, I still learn something new about them. So.
And I'm still learning. I think that the High Road Max was the last piece of the puzzle for our guys to really understand NEX Solid.
Yeah.
Because on the Axiom, it's like, okay, well, this is an idle with the traction is very similar, but this is an idle with more pop on the back end. Okay, cool. Proton physics, you end up, okay, well, this is a really strong ball that's really continuous, but when you have that strong of a cover on an asymmetric core, it's just going to hook, period. So you're not going to see some of the nuances. It was something like a UFO or a halo, or there's not a whole lot of nuances to be seen other than, okay, well, it's continuous or it's arcy or it's kind of a hook set, but it just hooks.
Oh yeah,
it just hooks. And so the High Road Max, because it's got so much weaker of a core in it, that kind of completes the trilogy to helping us really understand that cover and what it's actually doing.
Right.
So,
well, there was a question up here. I'll touch on. There it is. So my brother has been in a slump this season. He has a nuke and a UFO. UFO's lane shine and just never picks up for him, and the nuke just has too much length. Any recommendations on ball? Well, the UFO, if it just doesn't pick up, I would highly suggest hitting it with some surface.
Yeah, you probably want to hit the UFO with some surface, but that's also the other thing that we were talking about, is that sometimes surface is more about controlling shape than it is, or friction response, than it is controlling traction. Right. So there's a lot of people that say, well, this weak ball outhooks my hooking ball, but they think they equate hook with back end. Completely opposite things. Hook and back end are, again, like I said, they're not even that they're not similar, they're completely opposite.
Right.
The more hook you have, or the more traction you have, the less shape you're going to have just in general. I don't know how they kind of work it, but NEX is a little bit of a quandary. I don't know how they get a ball to hook that much and still be that flippy.
Yeah.
Again, we're gonna. I think the Proton might actually look really good tonight, so I'm gonna give it a shot.
You've thrown it there before, haven't you?
Yeah, but I wasn't throwing it as good, and so with it being too strong and also not shaping a whole bunch down lane, it was kind of giving me angle issues. But now that I'm better with my hand, I'm going to give it another shot and see if
I've got some new toys coming. I'm excited to throw there too.
Yeah. So with that, nuking the UFO, and the nuke just has too much length. I would put a little bit of surface back on the UFO, just kind of freshen the cover back up, and actually take a little bit of shine off the nuke. And that's the thing, is that we were talking about with especially with, I don't know what they've been doing with the factory gloss. I guess it looks better sitting on the shelf, but something like the Synergy, UC2, a bunch of these new ones,
shiny,
just crazy glossy.
It's kind of like,
I mean, they look like freaking marbles.
It's kind of like on the motor side, the Fatal Venom was like that. It's like, this ball is so shiny, you just look at it.
It looks better sitting on a shelf, really, and especially the Fatal Venom.
Yes.
You take the shine off, and it's like, oh, well, I mean, it still looks cool, but it doesn't have that.
Well, that green and silver
glossy,
really makes that shine pop.
Yeah, it really pops.
That's the one that comes to mind, just because of how shiny that stupid thing is. The Jackal Flash was like that. Really stupid shiny.
A lot of people they're very reluctant to mess with surfaces. And the thing about surface is that you can always change it. Yes, and it will always lane shine. So if you try something, if you try like 2000 on something, oh, well, I don't like it, either throw it a couple games, it'll shine back up, or put some polish on it.
Yep. I'm not a big fan of polishing because of what it does.
Yeah, I don't like actually polishing. I like letting stuff lane shine.
Yeah, me too.
So if you don't like a surface, if you put some surface on it and you don't like it, the ball will shine back up in a couple games. It's just science.
Angel, I'm sure you can alter the surface. I do not like it at all. Yeah, it just depends on what it is for me. If I'm going to bowl tournament, I know we've got some, depending on the volume. Yeah, I'll take an Avalon pad and hit some stuff with it, depending on what ball it is.
Yeah, UC2 is a great ball. Heck yes.
It does look really good. There's a lot of them going down the lane this week so far, and the players.
Domo likes it. Wes Malott likes it. Yep. And again, if you get tour players to adopt something so quickly, because James and I, this is something that we're talking about, because it's fun to be able to, oh gosh, I want to drill this ball just to drill it. But at the same time, you start messing around with stuff and playing with stuff, and then it confuses you, and then you start throwing stuff because you want to throw it instead of you should be throwing it. And so we've both recently kind of really simplified things.
Right.
So I take most of the same stuff everywhere because it's stuff I know that I score with, it's stuff that I do well with, and my scores have gone up quite a bit here recently. I am throwing it better, but at the same time, I think I'm throwing it better in part due to having more familiarity or a higher comfort level with being able to throw the same stuff every week instead of kind of half figuring it out while I'm trying to make good shots with it and then just not being totally comfortable. Now I'm completely comfortable the vast majority of the time. And so it's just bad decisions now. Like last night, I knew I should have gotten out of that ball, but I'm like, gosh, 520 after 2 with it. Why am I going to put it away? Especially on the left side of the lane. It's not changing that much. I'll just make an adjustment. I made the wrong adjustment.
Right.
I should have gone back to the bag.
Now, is the Rubicon still available, or did they DC that too?
No, the Rubicon's still available because it just came out in
I will give him credit on one thing. The Rubicon and UC2 is a good little 1-2 punch.
Yeah, those are, man, and the pros love them.
Both of them.
Which makes me a little bit worried for the Phase 2.
Yeah, probably.
Because the Phase 2 has been kind of the go-to, the standby, the holy grail of big hooking control.
That was what was
started
weird.
using the idle, but now the pros are using a bunch of the Axiom, but a bunch of the Rubicon now too, because it's got that medium strength cover. It's got more torque, but it still allows them to play with their hand and do different things without it being like UFO strong or Proton strong, to where they can still control the shape, but get just the perfect amount of traction and hook, really. So it's something like a Venom Shock, that it's that perfect amount of traction to where you can throw it in league, you can throw it on heavier stuff, you can throw it on a little bit lighter stuff. It's just that nice right in the middle, kind of very versatile cover everything ball. And that's kind of where that's why the IQ Tour Solid's been around for so long.
Right.
But that's why everybody loved the Codex so much. And why the Rubicon is getting so much love, because it's just that kind of perfect right there, throwable, works on just about everything type ball. So the Phase 2 is getting thrown less and less and less and less. And so I'm thinking it's not, especially with them getting rid of some of the other stuff, the idle and whatever else, they're kind of clearing the catalog. Yep. The IQ Tour Solid, I don't think is going anywhere. The High Road's not going anywhere, but the Phase 2 might be the next big surprise on the way out. But it's one of those things, it's like people are going to be upset about it, but it's like, well, are you actually really going to miss it?
Yeah.
Because I think James and I have been talking about the same thing, is saying, well, when that situation comes up, I'm not instantly thinking Phase 2 anymore. I'm thinking, well, it could be the Rubicon, or now it could be something like the Insight. If you look at the two of those, the Insight has a little bit more torque, but it's a very similar look on the lane.
Right.
So now that they have that, I think the pros are going to start throwing that too, because it's kind of that blendy Rubicon-ish, a little bit cleaner, a little bit stronger.
Like on Tuesday, the weirdest thing to me was seeing Chris Barnes throw a Phase 2. And thinking to myself, I never thought I would see this guy throw anything Storm. And because he crossed with Brad.
Yeah.
And he was throwing like a Phase 2 was in and something else. I don't remember what it was on the Storm side, but it's just because that guy's been Brunswick so long, Columbia for so long, and now he's been global. It's so weird to see it. Yeah, but anyways, the Rubicon and UC2, Rubicon UC2 look really good. There's a lot of them going down the lane. It's weird because like you've got Smallwood on our end who was throwing a Supra all week. I think he threw a Primal Rage LE or something like that, which that guy makes old bowling balls look really good because he threw a Sigma Tour on the TV show. And then you got Dick Allen who's just throwing ghosts like crazy. So
Kyle Troop's 300s and qualifying on the Fresh were both of the Rubicon, and then Belmo threw his with the UC2. Millant had one with the UC2. The Rubicons are just, we have to be getting a hybrid. That has to be high on their priority list. Now we have to be getting a hybrid.
It'll probably be coming
Rubicon
soon.
Pretty quickly. I don't know what formula it's going to be. I would imagine it's probably going to be that whatever's I don't think that the Synergy cover would differentiate enough with the UC2, because I run those kind of in tandem. If I need a little bit more back end, I go with the UC2. If I need a little bit smoother, I go with the Synergy. Even though they're hybrid pearl, they feel really similar.
Yeah.
down the lane for the first 40 feet of the lane. And so I don't think that E-Trax hybrid shiny you're not going to see much difference, if anything, from the UC2, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit smoother. But we also just have the Insight drop that's the same concept as the Rubicons. It's kind of that mild ASIM. Now the Insight has a much stronger cover stock. R4S solid or R4S hybrid is very strong.
So it's the Insight is asymmetrical, right?
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm just
what's that?
The Insight's ASIM, right?
Yeah, but it's a mild ASIM. It's kind of that. It's asymmetric, but it's an 013 intermediate differential on 15 pounds, where most of the intermediate differentials on bigger ASIM stuff is like 17 to 21.
What's the RG on that?
The RG's 250 or 251 on the Insight. I'm pretty sure the Rubicon's a little bit lower. Rubicon has a lower RG, but it's also got a little bit lower intermediate differential. I think the
Insight, 248 or 240.
Yeah, it's 249052 or the general numbers, because that's the point that they were getting at. They've got the same RG and differential as the Idols.
Yep.
But just with a little bit of asymmetry, and that the Rubicon looks different than the Idol Pro.
249.
Oh,
the Rubicon.
Yeah, the Rubicon's 249052, and the Insight I think is 251050. 051, 052, something like that. And
James,
the Rubicon's 011. The Insight is 013. 250, 053, 013. Yeah, the Rubicon's actually 011 instead of 013.
I gotta mess with him because he just spits that stuff out like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Ball tech nerd.
And most of that is helpful to at least know what you're talking about and know what that means for ball reaction.
Oh, it's good to know. Yeah, I just looked up the Insight. I knew the Rubicon off the top of my head.
Still but you posted that the Rubicon was 013 instead of 011.
Uh-oh.
Get some.
Shots fired.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was not a plug, I promise.
Yeah.
I don't think. Took my intensifier to 4,000 grit recently, and it worked pretty well on dry conditions. Yeah,
and sometimes that upside down, the Insight is basically Storm's Rubicon, because the Rubicon is the Rubicon's a solid, but it's a much weaker cover stock formula than the Insight, which is a hybrid, but it's sanded. And Shimwrecker. Yeah.
Where's the Nerf gun?
But tisk. Yeah, so even though the Insight's a hybrid, the stronger cover formula makes up for the difference between hybrid solid technically.
Yeah.
So the Insight I think is stronger than the Rubicon. It's also a little bit smoother. So the Rubicon's not quite as strong, but because it's not quite as strong, it's more responsive.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm surprised how good this actually is. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not. It's more like a fruited ale rather than.
We showed
sour.
this one, right?
Yeah. Mountain Beach Session Sour. So it's kind of like a fruited ale. It's like a strawberry blonde or something like that, but it's very heavy on the guava. I'm really getting the guava.
Yeah,
and the pineapple too.
And you showed me this. I'm like, yeah, I'll try it. I mean, I'll try anything pretty much, but it's pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, we will see you in 2 weeks, won't we there, Shim? Because we'll be... What's the matter?
Oh, I don't know. This is... we're talking about stuff.
Sometimes on dryer or burn shots, you have to ball up because you need to read the lane more front to back than get flipped. Yes, that is 100% accurate.
And that's what we were talking about a little bit earlier in regards to... and we were talking about this a little bit last week too, is that people will sometimes use balls that are too strong for the condition, counting on them to burn up.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you can just have lower end balls are built to react on dry lanes like stronger balls are on wetter conditions.
Yep.
Now sometimes you can flip those to get a certain reaction or a certain response. If you've got a longer, heavier pattern but a little bit of forgiveness, you might use a weaker ball just to help with more flip or punch that you're not going to get out of the stronger hook monster.
Yep.
But on drier, shorter conditions, you might actually use something crazy strong because it's going to hit the lane and just kind of chug and grind and give up.
I'm a big example when we're in game 7 and 8 and I'm throwing a porch flare.
Yeah. But that's the idea. Part of the idea with that ball, and that's why people want to throw urethane on dry shots so much, just because it doesn't shape and they don't put the 2 and 2 together. they're not using urethane because it doesn't hook. They're using urethane because it doesn't shape.
Well, there's also a lot of people that just misunderstand urethane in general.
Yeah. But that's the biggest thing, is that urethane is the strongest, earliest. It's stronger and earlier than resin.
Yeah.
It hits the lane, it burns up, and it just kind of spins the rest of the way down the lane on its own oil tracks.
Right.
The rest of the way down the lane. But that's the idea with urethane, is to dig in super early and blend out everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, because you just get it. I don't know if they just pro shop operators tell them, yeah, you're looking for something really dry, just drill a urethane ball or what. But people just totally misunderstand it, and I think that's why a lot of it gets thrown in house shots. I do think people crutch themselves too much with urethane. Jeremy, I could not agree 100% more. A lot of college players are very glued to urethane, but because that's what they teach, though. So.
Yeah, but the college kids, then they get on a house shot, and they're trying to throw urethane right up 5,
yes,
and be all fancy and way too far inside their own heads instead of just.
Yeah, I watch college kids throw purple hammers on a house shot that just gets destroyed. I'm not going to mention names, but it just gets destroyed by, people not throwing urethane. How about that?
Yeah.
It's just no reason to use it at all. Sorry.
Yeah, but anyway, going back to the Coverstock types things, that's why Storm plays Mr. Potato Head so much with stuff, is because they're trying to create specific reactions. You have something like an Axiom that's an idol with more pop, then you have something like a Proton that's a UFO kind of segue on that, and then you have a super strong cover high road trying to create familiarity with different shapes. And so you have all these different little tools to work with, not because they're abusing some. I mean, at some point, using R2S on a bunch of stuff is abusing, kind of abusing the same thing over and over again. But if they're using a known set of cover stocks and a known set of cores, and mixing and matching to create different little nuances off of each other, that's ultimately more helpful to the bowler than, oh, this is a brand new core and it's a brand new cover stock. And it's like, okay, well, we don't really understand this until you get to throw it. And some people match up with it, some people don't. But on our side, we kind of know, James knows if it's coming out and it has spec on it, probably not going to get along with it.
Yeah. And
so there, that familiarity with all those elements that go together is what really helps you out. Number one.
Yeah, spec was in the Crux Prime, right?
Yeah, it was in the Crux Prime. Okay, it was in the ProMotion, and then it was in the Gravity Evolve.
That's why the astrophysics were so good. Yeah, Gravity Evolve. I'm sorry, I won't say bad things. That's why the astrophysics was really good.
Yeah, you really like the Astro. Yeah,
that thing's still going strong. My wife throws it now.
Looks pretty good for her. I should probably get mine out a little bit more, but mine.
It's probably got a million games on it.
Mine is really close to my Idol Synergy, actually.
Really?
The Synergy is a little bit stronger cover, but the Astro is asymmetric.
Yeah.
So that might even be something that I could segue instead of but I've got the UC2 now.
Right.
So, and that even punches a little bit more than the Astro.
Yep.
So,
cover
stupid dogs.
And put it on a strong ASIM.
All right, I'm gonna let dogs.
Well, spec on the Omega.
No, the Omega had GI20.
GI20 on the Omega Crux. They're calling. Yeah, it is definitely a strong cover, but no calling, bro. Crux. You picking out our next one?
Yeah, the juicy. I'm gonna go let the dogs in.
You're good, man. I'll sit here and go read the comments for a second. Just throw it over this way. I can show them what our next one is. We are going Voodoo Ranger. It is. If you can't see that there, it is a Juicy Haze IPA. I've never had it, so we'll see. You see that? What's up, Panda? Voodoo is really good. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to try it. I think there's
Where, you idiot?
Ooh, we're good.
Yeah.
I think there is one rumored to have spec that was overseas, I believe. Gotcha.
There's a handful of different ones.
This one's going to be interesting.
Yeah. I already smell it.
Yep. This one's definitely
yeah, Trevor shot another 800, and it was 800 on nose. He had 521 going in, and front 6 spare, and then the back 5. And he had to have, I've been in that situation before where I've had to have the last strike for 800 on the nose. I think I've shot 800 on the nose twice.
That's scary. You don't want that. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And this should taste kind of like the last one that we just had, just with hops.
It smells like, okay, well, here we go.
Yeah, the juicy haze should be kind of a little bit fruity, but
not what I was expecting at all.
It's very hoppy.
Yeah. Interesting. It definitely doesn't punch you in the throat.
No, it's still pretty smooth. But yeah, after that last one, we're going all over the place.
Yeah, we're just kind of bouncing around here. Looking for something to ball down from a Halo Pearl. Pretty much Steve. Jim will help him out on that.
Halo Pearl, a trend would be a really good ball down from a Halo Pearl.
Technically now, Trevor has 800 in back-to-back weeks because he did not bowl Sunday because he pre-bowled, and he pre-bowled shooting 800 on Dorego. So
he
did get one game from Dorego. Or Dorego
5 or 6 800s in Lawrence this year. He actually has more 800s than 300s. I think he's got 3 or 4 300s, but he's got 6 800s now, I think.
In Lawrence this year?
Yeah, because he already had 4.
I thought he only shot 300 once this year.
I think he's got 2 of them.
I know he's got a 99 in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. 2. He's got
I think
2.
Yeah. Okay. So he's got 2, but he's got. I think this is 800 number 6 because he shot a couple of them in pre-bowling.
Yes.
And he had 3 on the board, and then he shot the one last night. So I think he has 6, and I think he's got a couple 300s and like 3 or 4 800s in Topeka because he shot one on Tuesday nights. He's got a couple. Well,
they've all been pre-bowling too.
Yeah.
He shot an 800. Either an 800 or a 300 pre-bowling.
That's the other thing about pre-bowling that I don't think people understand is the pacing.
Yeah.
Because you can get right up there and fire one after the other. It's not so much the less lane transition.
Yeah.
It's that you can maintain. If you've got a good thing going, you can just keep going on it. That's why people either tend to pre-bowl really good or really bad.
I'm not a great pre-bowler.
There's not a whole lot of in between.
So do I think as well, 2-1. He didn't score that high in Southwest. I seen shot 20-50 something. So apparently Southwest was not fun.
Yeah, Southwest was not fun the weekend that we went. It wasn't like the previous weekend. It was difficult. Austin Bolds, who is a regular down there.
He works in the shop there, doesn't he?
Yeah. I went down with, I bowled a couple extra sets with Casey Murphy and Austin Bolds. Austin Bolds is the feature bowler for the Storm stuff on the Bowling Fix channel. If you've seen that, Casey Murphy has his own channel too. If you like just watching a really good bowler throw the ball and not a bunch of talking over stuff, go check out Casey Murphy.
Yeah, Casey actually does have good
Casey's
videos.
from Springfield. He's a good friend of Kevin Williams. They bowl a lot of double stuff together. The K-Will, the lefty two-hander.
And rapper.
With curly hair.
Blonde curly hair currently. He died.
That bowled really well on his regional show a couple weeks ago.
Very well. I thought he was going to win.
Almost got it. But yeah, he bowled very well.
And then him and Packy won playing at doubles over the
Thanks, James. Yeah. Bowling Fix channel, and they also have Riley Patton and Alex George on there for the motive stuff. So the Bowling Fix has a couple extra things, and you'll see a few different bowlers. But Austin's really good. Casey's really good. And everybody struggled to get the angles right this weekend because they were just wetter than they normally are at North Rock.
Austin Donovan does the Brunswick side for them.
Yeah.
So
every once in a while when they have those, but yeah. But
so something apparently the weekend before at Southwest.
Chad had a great weekend.
Apparently the weekend before at Southwest there was like 16 300 shot in 2 days. Does that sound accurate? And I think the last weekend where Luke went and Trevor went, I think there was one.
Chad's going to make me drill my pink badger. It's going to have to happen because Chad just annihilates places with that thing.
Kevin is a good guy.
Kevin.
I like Kevin a lot.
Kevin and Casey and a couple of the other guys that we bowled this last weekend in Southwest with. Casey just wanted to put a couple extra teams together, and so we went down there, and they were wet.
Kevin bowled too?
Kevin.
He bowled the Planet Doubles.
Yeah, he bowled the Planet Doubles.
And
so it was Casey and a couple other people got to meet a couple other people that I've talked to on Facebook. Yeah. A few times, so we got to meet a few new people, but nobody in our group really bowled that well. I think I shot 660 and 650. Now I missed 7 pins, so it should have been 7.0 and 720. But the reality is I didn't pick them up, so I shot 660 and 650. Casey shot like 650 and 720. He bowled really well. He bowled really well that second set just to get 720. He shot 760 or 770, but he scored 720 just because.
And he probably grinded the heck out of that.
Yeah, flat nonsense is flat. And he did that piping it right up 10.
Just standing right and piping it up 10?
Yes.
What was he throwing?
With an inside.
An inside?
Because it was.
Were they that wet?
Yeah, they were that wet. And so he needed that for the hook. But yeah, he just put it straight up 10 because it was one of those things. The first team set, everybody just kind of gave up.
Was that box service?
No, he's got a little bit of lane shine on it.
Okay.
But he didn't shine it up. It's got some lane shine on it. But yeah, he was piping it straight up 10 for the most part. He had to get in a belly it just a little bit later. But yeah, straight up 10. And that's not Casey Murphy's. That's not Casey's A game.
No, he likes to get left and get in.
He likes to get left and he likes to roll the ball.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff that he drills is pinned down because he likes to really roll the ball and control his shapes down lane. But yeah, he was just piping it straight up 10 because that's what we had to do. So
yeah, you guys got a good group for Southwest. I was going to go, but I'll be in Springfield that weekend.
Luke's new tournament arsenal, IQ plus promotion
bag.
I
was laughing
pink bag.
I was laughing at that a minute ago.
I have 2 IQ Tour pinks now.
2 of them?
Yep, and I'm going to go get it because I should have brought it up earlier, but I want to show it off. So I'm going to leave you once again in charge of the.
Leaves me hanging again. So once again, what should I do with my hands?
I am off the reservation. Fly ball caught.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a major league reference there. Yeah. Oh, pressure's on. Yeah, no pressure here. I'll just sit here and hang out and ramble and chat with you guys for a minute while I drink this Voodoo Ranger that's actually a lot different than what I expected. So I needed Tour Pink. Called Panda up on the couch. Panda, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. There it is.
Yeah,
Angel asked for it.
Oh, bear dog.
Angel asked for it. There you go.
Up there, bear dog. Okay, I've been replaced.
This is my new co-host.
No, bear, you're fine.
Say hi. Say hi.
Yep.
There you go.
Bear. High five.
High five.
High five, bear.
There we go.
Uh-huh. Good bear.
All right.
I know. Yep.
I'll ask Luke that, Dorigo, when he sits back down.
She's about as tall as you are.
You know what? That's not hard.
Yeah.
If she stands straight up, good save. If she stands straight up, it probably would be. Dorigo says, when you bowl with other lefties, should you play similar lines, use the same type of equipment?
I think that can be a trap.
I think so.
Because when we were crossing with Trevor and Dylan at that tournament at Lunar, I tried to do what Trevor was doing, and I can't really do what Trevor does.
Yeah.
So I got too deep. I got kind of too far inside my own head. And we see a lot of the same things, but we have to interpret them our own ways.
Right. Uh-oh. Is this the pink one?
Yep. Yeah, this is just the best ball that you've ever seen.
What's the scent on this one?
Cherry.
Got it. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Really strong.
Why does that thing feel like it's 16 pounds?
It smells like cough syrup. But
yeah, it does.
It's really good cough syrup.
There you go. I'm not sure I can show off storm balls.
Yeah, I know. They'll start burning. And IQ pink. If you can see in the pink, it's really hard to see on the screen, but it's got all this blue, bluish, silverish stuff in there, and the logo choice, logo color
Greetings
choice.
from Germany.
Oh yeah. What's up?
Thanks for.
Oh man, we've got some. I think we've got some German beer in there too.
Thanks for coming to hang out with us for a minute.
What time is it in Germany?
Yeah, great question.
It is 9:30 on. No, I didn't want talking to you, Siri. Go away.
Robitussin cough syrup.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's pretty much right.
It is 9:30 on Friday the 26th.
When did that come out, and how long has it been out?
It came out late last year, I think, but it's an overseas ball. So it is basically
4:35 p.m.
It's an IQ Tour Fusion, but it's pink. It smells like cherry.
It is very cherry.
And it's amazing.
The Robitussin cough syrup is actually very accurate.
So yeah, I had two. I really didn't want to drill. I got one of them, and I'm like, well, I can't drill this because it's too beautiful. And now that I have two of them,
now you can drill one.
Yeah, I can drill one, and I will throw it forever.
I think you should drill one and throw it tonight.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I really want to, but I've got so much other stuff that's just sitting there. So.
Didn't know it was an overseas. Yeah, it's overseas.
Yeah, it's an overseas ball. And that, speaking of the cover core combinations, that's why I like a lot of the overseas stuff, because they get cover core combinations that we just don't have here.
Luden's cough drops, yeah. That's good.
Angel's got a Trend SE that is the Axiom Pearl cover stock on the Trend/piston core.
Huh, okay.
We also have ProMotion Tours for the people that didn't like the ProMotion. That core is really good, as we've seen in the Trend, but it's got R2X solid on it, or it's got the High Road X cover on the Trend core.
Okay.
Or the ProMotion core, which is the ProMotion Tour. Plus, it's gorgeous.
I'm the one that's on search of a Rogue Assassin. So if anybody can come across a new unboxed blank Rogue Assassin, that would be fantastic. So that's not $300.
Yeah, again, and that's what people that, oh, no ball's worth $350. It's like, well, collector's edition type stuff.
John, so now that you've settled in with motive stuff, one ball that surprised you with how much you like it, and one ball you thought you'd like but didn't. Why for both? Yeah, it is a good question. The one that I would say that it's really shocked me that I like is the Forge Flare. I wasn't sure if it would get along with me, but I do really like it.
Early and slow stuff is not really, you need a little bit of pop down lane.
Yes, I do really like it. I was surprised because just because of the way it shapes.
Tobias, how much do you want to pay for the Rogue?
Yeah, I gotta see him. The other one is that I'm surprised on would be the Supra. The Supra is good, but for me, I think it's very situational for me, and it's too round, if that makes sense. I subbed Wednesday night, and I had to look with it Wednesday night on the Fresh at Westridge, and it looked great. And then immediately when the lights came on, the ball was just over under. Like it's just. So
I've had that several. This is like what happened with me in the Parallax and at the doubles tournament at North Rock.
Yes,
it's like, oh crap, this looks good, and then as soon as we turn the lights on, it's like flat. Yeah, flat.
I mean, the first ball off my hand, I thought it was really good, and the ball checked. So I'm like, what in the world? So, for example, when we bowled at Lunar, the Super Bowl doubles, I should have pulled the Super out sooner because they were set up perfect for it with the way how round it is. I've got some other stuff coming that I'm curious on. Honestly, a whole lot of stuff I don't dislike. I really don't. I don't dislike the ball. Desert Tank, maybe. I guess that would be one. But that's another one that's very situational for me because I just kind of don't understand it. So, good question.
Maybe I'll take a stab at that.
I've seen Smallwood's averaging a 260 with the Supra and TOC. Yes, he was actually throwing a couple of different Supras. He also threw a Primal Rage LE. Does that sound right?
Was it the red one?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, it's a.
I'll have to ask Spangler, but how much do you want to pay for the Rogue? Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, with the Supra, that ball type in general, if the motive stackers are throwing the Supra, shut up.
You expecting delivery?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They saw they just put a bark at the UPS truck. It hadn't even turned on the street yet, but they saw the UPS truck and know that they have to bark.
The brown truck, the staffer's best friend.
Yep. Oh, heck. Yeah, we're supposed to be getting some stuff today, so we're going to see what this is.
Blowing a short pattern on wood lanes with low rip rate and medium speed.
Bonus commentary.
My back end of the house. Would you recommend taking it on 2000 grit? I have a Luca question on that one. I've seen the Forge Flare and some sweepers up here in Twin Cities. The Forge Flare is fantastic, Colin. That is a great ball. It is very, very good. Some people like it, some people don't. But that cover, the Coercion MX, if I'm saying that right.
3 excited doggos.
That cover is actually becoming a Motive fan favorite. So stay tuned. We could possibly see another ball coming with that.
We might have something.
Because the Jackal Legacy has that cover.
Not anything new, but
I saw that today.
Something really funny.
I saw that this morning on Facebook.
Aspensaurus. She gets really crazy when she gets back out in the backyard on patrol, and her hair stands up on its back, and she puffs up and whatever else. She is hilarious. We call her Aspensaurus because she looks like she's got the spines on the back there.
I saw that this
Hilarious.
morning on
Let me
Facebook.
go see what we got.
It's pretty good. Oh,
We were expecting a shipment of some sort, and I just can't remember what it is. So hopefully,
bowling balls.
is it bowling balls? It is a bowling ball.
A bowling ball. UPS truck is a staff player's best friend. I literally at times will catch myself if I hear a cart, like it sounds like a big truck going down the road.
Like,
I look to see what new toy do I have coming.
Let me see. Who is this from?
All right, it is a bowling ball.
Doug Blair, Bowler's Choice. I think you never.
Bowler's Choice.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Pretty pups. Now's your time while he's stepping away from me. If you got motive questions, throw them at me.
Yeah.
So I don't hijack his stream here.
Yeah.
I did finally break down everybody and order a purple tank.
Holy balls!
So it is.
Quick. This is Angel's Major Authority.
Oh.
This is a roto grip ball. Wow, she just bought this like 2 days ago.
Open it on screen, Luke.
Oh, balls.
They said open it on screen.
Yep. Turn it all over the place. This is an older one. This was inspected 2018. So Major Authority. I just ripped the box there, so that's my fault. But it's got the cage core. I think that was in the Menace. I think it was in the Menace, and I don't know anything about Warrant Pearl, but it's a stronger Pearl asymmetric ball. It kind of looks like a drive if the drive looked good.
Well put. Yeah, I could see that. You're being summoned.
Bam.
But I get a lot of those.
Goodbye.
Ton, actually.
Ah, the weakest thing. Goodbye. Yeah, this looks like a drive if a drive didn't look like crap. So yeah,
it does.
She likes the eagle on it because she has the 900 Global, the eagle. And so yeah, this.
It's actually kind of cool looking.
James, go find what the cage core was in.
There you go.
I think the cage core was in the Menace, and then it went overseas. So yeah, this was a couple year ago roto grip ball, but because she has the eagle on the 900 Global ball,
that wasn't overseas.
She saw no. It was just very short lived because that was right before they switched the plan over, and so when they switched the plan over, just like the Ebonite deal, they had to discontinue everything.
Oh, okay,
okay.
I got you.
So, yeah, so she saw the eagle on it. She's like, well, I saw the eagle on it.
It's pretty cool.
And she likes asymmetric pearls, and so yeah, this is.
Yeah, I like asymmetric pearls too.
Really pretty. Yeah. Oh, the Sinister. Yes, that's what the cage core was in. Thank you.
Boom. Gary, me too. Purple tank. I'm excited for that. Microcell.
We saw Trent was throwing his last night, and Hathaway was throwing his last night.
What?
Purple tank.
Hathaway has a purple tank already?
I think Hathaway has a purple tank.
I wonder how he got his hands on one of those.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Trent, I know Trent threw them. They are very good.
Yeah.
They hook a lot.
I know Trent was throwing one anyway. And Hathaway might have just been throwing the purple hammer, and I just didn't see the difference. Yeah.
Morning, Brent. Yeah, he may. I finally broke down, and I texted you the other day. So I finally broke down and ordered one. I'm not a big urethane guy. Once again, it's very situational for me. But
IQ Tour Sapphire.
I need to get a video done. So I was actually.
It's shipped from Lenex, so that's why we were talking about it Wednesday, and so yeah. Like I say, I didn't think I was going to get here.
Malcolm, early. Yes, it is true urethane. True urethane, purple tank. Yo, Schumacher Enterprise. So now we're just kind of hanging out, chit-chatting, talking about bowling balls, I guess.
Yeah,
more beers.
Yeah.
True urethane. Yeah, true urethane. Too good. It's a good piece to have. Yes, it is. This is probably the first time I've ever been really excited to drill a urethane piece. Me personally. And I threw a pitch black. I didn't throw it a lot, but I liked it from what I saw. And it actually, Luke will actually tell you, it actually did not look bad for me when I threw it.
Yeah.
So it's trios.
What are you doing?
I'm not a urethane guy, but I respect those who can throw it. It's very situational, and it is a ball that urethane is a bowling ball that requires you to be consistent at release. Wouldn't you say that? Because if you suitcase it, you're going to flat 10, flat 7. Just depends on what you throw it all day.
Yeah, you have to be able to roll it. You have to be able to throw it the right way. Otherwise, it's going to be flat. Yes. But if you can roll it the right way, it's going to look really good.
Yes.
When the situation is there for urethane.
Because we bowled on a pattern at Swiss that was wet to the right. If you miss right, it stays on the right side. And then there was a lot of friction in the middle. So I decided I had no look on Saturday. I threw the ball horrible and said, what the heck? I pulled out a urethane ball on Sunday and actually was able to control the pocket. So it didn't shoot big scores. I think my high game that day was like 230, I think. But
all right, so we're getting close to 10 o'clock here, and it's almost time for the morning bolt. So we'll probably get close to cutting it off here. We'll talk for a few more minutes,
and an hour 15, you got flow starting too.
Yeah, and then we have, if anybody's got flow bowling, then the more match play at the TOC. I think, is it more match play?
It is more match play. We have a whole day of match play.
Okay, so yeah, it's match play all day. So you'll want to check that out on flow bowling. But as far as this goes,
6 this morning, 6 tonight. Yes, sorry.
Okay,
go ahead.
So we kind of wrapped up the cover stock thing. We talked about core and cover combinations and the way to kind of use those to create different looks. And we're probably, we can have one more.
No, I was just, I forgot you had the pink one up here.
Oh, yeah.
I was looking to say, I thought you said you got one. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, we can have another one if you want to. While we're chatting for a minute. Are they doing the morning bolt this morning for you?
Probably
with the TOC and everything going on.
Probably be shorter.
Okay.
But I don't think the morning bolt goes for very long anyway.
Honestly, I don't know.
So, as far as layouts go, we are not going to talk layouts in this thing because there's way more that goes into it. But your homework, I guess, is to go watch the Storm pin buffer layout system videos. Shim, if you can post those in the chat, or at least post the first one. The Storm pin buffer layout system videos, Alex Hoskins did ridiculous jobs on those. He explains everything in depth. They isolate each kind of the pin to pap distance, the pin buffer itself, and the PSA to pap distance. They put several different layouts on the balls, and they show slow-mo shots, and they have diagrams and graphs and all kinds of other stuff that explains layouts and ball dynamics the best way humanly possible. So if you want to know anything about you don't even have to be a Storm fan. It just explains it so well that there's nothing that we can talk or ramble about on here that's going to explain it any better than just going and watching that series of videos. And they're not very long either. They're all 6 or 7 minutes apiece. So you can get everything that you need to know about layouts and ball dynamics and whatever else in that set of videos, just sitting there for 20 or 30 minutes.
Homework for bowling might actually do this homework. There you go. Perfect. There you go, Jack.
Yeah, homework for bowling. Yeah. So there's nothing that we can talk about as far as layouts go that's going to be any better than that, that's going to give you any better information. Just go watch those videos. I don't know what we'll talk about next week. Maybe we'll pick
pop quiz next week.
Maybe we'll start turning on some shows. We can watch the Players Championship one week, and then we can watch the TOC the next week and kind of break those down, talk about those. So the homework is going to be watch the Storm pin buffer layout system videos, watch the PBA Players Championship if you haven't seen it, which was on last Sunday, and then watch the TOC this Sunday. Tournament of Champions, I think it's this Sunday.
Which was the last show was very good. So.
Yeah, the Players Championship was very good.
It was a Storm versus Motive day.
Yeah. So and on those next two, that's probably what we'll do the next 2 weeks is we'll watch the Players next Friday and we'll watch the TOC the following Friday. Obviously, we can't put them on the screen here, so you're going to have to be on a desktop. You're either going to have to have watched the show, or you're going to have to be on a desktop where you can listen to us and watch the show at the same time.
Yep.
So
there's got to be a way.
the Junior PBA Championship. I want to see that too.
Oh yes, they did record that. I think that's on Sunday. Is that Sunday?
That would be really good to watch.
No, I think they actually recorded a show, and they're doing it on a Fox show.
Okay. Yeah.
That one would be good. Are you wanting to keep going on this for a little longer and have another one, or what do you want to do? We can just sit and chit chat, or don't forget to join the join the Discord. Also, deeper conversations. Yes, it is fun. You like talk bowling? Come hang out in the Discord.
Yeah, if you want to talk about this stuff, this is what we talk about in the Discord all the time.
24/7
in the Discord, and we have the free side in the general, or if you want to pay the $5 a month for the Patreon stuff, you also get access to a bunch of old articles and stuff. Patreon kind of sucks, but and
if you're a Motive fan, I think there's a Motive page.
Yeah, I have a Motive group within the private side of the Storm Nation channel, so it's not just Storm propaganda. The Motive guys can talk Motive, and so we had it's Storm Nation channel, but the Motive guys can talk Motive. We have a special two-handed badge for the for those that want to do that. We have a food channel, we have a dog channel. This is all on the private side of the Patreon. So all the extra, we have a nutrition channel. If you're into that, and we have several different private channels that are in there, and we talk about this stuff all the time.
Yep.
James is in there, he's in there. We have some other guys that are in there. Tobias is in there all the time.
On the motive side, you got Riley and I both.
Riley Patton.
Staff players that if you ever have any questions, anything motive, feel free to reach out to us.
So just for $5 a month, there's a lot of stuff that goes on, especially within the Discord. There's some extra stuff on Patreon, but
yes,
whatever.
Yeah, Spencer Robarge, that kid
Spencer
is just flat out amazing. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Did you watch any of the Brad and Kyle vlog where they were giving Dick Allen crap because he's no longer the best player to come out of the KC area?
No.
Because Richie came in from KC.
Yeah.
And it was Brad getting the joke because he's from the area.
Yeah.
But it's Spencer because he bowled all the Heart of Americas and all the Kansas City tournaments. So the kid just steamrolls every.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. So.
He said he passed the torch, though. Richie did. So.
Yeah.
Richie. So if people don't know, I'm sure Hirschman will know. Dick in Kansas City was a very, very, very good youth player.
Yeah.
He was actually quite amazing.
Hirsch. Well, that's what Noel said. He said that Richie was one of the best he'd ever seen.
Oh, he's amazing. He was,
and it just that's one of those guys that, and we might talk about that, and actually we'll talk about that on one of the shows that the players that Dick was on.
Just don't judge him for the water spill.
His ability to compete with the guys when he doesn't have a lot of speed and he doesn't have a high rev rate and he doesn't really do much conventional. But we talked about this before. The guys that just know how to bowl and get the pins down, he's one of those guys, and he's not afraid of anybody.
Guy's got ice in his veins, man.
Yeah, if he can make it to the TV show, that the problem is keeping up. If it's a carry contest, it's tougher for him to make it to the show. But once he makes it to the show, he's going to make shots.
I won't spoil what for those that have not watched that show, but the last two shows that Richie Dick Allen was on were very good. Sundays was very good.
Yeah, so I think we'll go on ahead and cut this off. Hopefully that helped a little bit. I know that we covered a bunch of stuff, but that's kind of the idea, is to sit here and talk about a bunch of stuff. And I think the next couple of weeks, if we watch those shows, that'll be a lot of fun. So again, the homework is see, it's got to show that, or it's got to hide that. So,
maybe I should go out there and talk about Richie Dick Allen because I knew him well before he was well known. I'm the same way with Brad Miller. Brad Miller and I were buddies too. So.
Yeah, they grew up together and bowled all kinds of stuff. So
I can actually show before we go a really cool, if I can find it. Brad and I bowled a Scotch doubles tournament together when we were little kids.
Oh yeah.
And it is a. See if I can find it. It's right here before we get out of here. I don't know if you've even seen this.
Probably not.
It's right here. Near Scotch doubles.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's got your names on there too. So
you can read that.
Yep, Jonathan Oz, Brad Miller.
And you can see the pin there. It's not like it's anything special.
Yeah. But
it's a gem. What can I say?
Yeah.
And look at little Brad.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you had hair.
Yeah, so did I. I knew Brad when he was knee high to me. Yeah, trust me, me too. We grew up at Laurel Lanes together. Laurel. Sorry, I said that wrong. Okay.
But yeah, anyhow, go watch the Morning Bolt. It'll start in 5 minutes, and then after that, watch more match play at the TOC. That'll be a lot of fun, and then we'll have the show on Sunday. We're bowling on Saturday. You're bowling all weekend. You're bowling everything this weekend, right?
Yep.
Okay, sweet.
This is my Southwest weekend.
Yeah, so you'll have to let me know how that all goes. So
I will.
Colin Brummond pledged $5.
Colin,
thanks, man.
Fantastic.
And by the way, on the Patreon thing, it only charges your card once a month, and so you have a free preview. You have to go through all the sign up nonsense. But so Colin, if you can check it out, you scroll back up through the Patreon feed and find a bunch of good articles. You can get into, make sure that you go into, once you sign up for Patreon, go into your settings and link. There's a place in settings. It's easiest to look at from a desktop. So if you go onto Patreon from a desktop and then go into settings and then link your Patreon and Discord channels, that's how you get in the private channels. on the Discord side.
I think that's the first time you've actually explained that, so that's good.
Yeah. So
join the Patreon. Fantastic, man.
It only charges your card once a month. So it charges your card from the 1st through the 5th is when they do their kind of payroll processing or whatever. So if you sign up outside of that time, so you will be able to preview for the last couple days of the month here. But you can preview it for free, basically. So if you sign up on like the 10th of the month or something, you have the next 20 days to preview everything without them charging your card.
Awesome.
So
also head over to luke.bowlinglabs.com. Did I say that right?
Yep. Luke.
And pick up your Heckin' Urethane t-shirts.
Heckin' Urethane stuff and the Panda Pack patches. We had I shared some on Facebook, but they recently recovered 51 dogs from an owner.
Saw that. It was fantastic.
Yeah, the owner thought that they had 25 dogs, actually had 51. And so
fantastic.
They just recovered 51 dogs, just kind of hanging out all over the place on this property and all manner of health and whatever. They had some puppies and they had some pregnant dogs, and they just had a bunch of dogs, and it was one of those hoarders situations where they just have stuff everywhere and they kind of throw food out and whatever else. But they rescued these dogs, and they found them all home, or they found them all fosters. They've all been to the vet already and have gotten shots and all caught up on everything. And
fantastic.
For 51 dogs, how expensive is that?
I can only imagine.
So
on the Panda Pack patches, by the way, for those of you that don't know, some of the proceeds go to
Positive Tails KC.
Yes,
it's our local rescue group in Kansas City that we've done the fundraisers for this year, and they've done a lot of good stuff. We saved a couple dogs, so if you donated, you help save a couple dogs' lives, and even more has gone to help out, for other surgeries and all kinds of other stuff.
They're very cool. They're not the adhesive patches, just so you know. They are.
Yeah, they're not stick-on patches. Yeah. They're iron-on, or you can stitch them on too. So I just had my mom
sew them on.
So
they're very cool. One of the best patches I've seen.
So yeah, and they're pretty big too. But anyway,
they are pretty big.
Go check out the Patreon. Check out the merchandise. The Heckin' Urethane stuff's pretty cool. Panda Pack patches are cool too if you want to be part of our little group. And the Morning Bolt is starting in 2 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and sign off and leave you with that. Homework, once again, Storm Pin Buffer Layout System Trilogy on YouTube. Watch the PBA Players Championship from last Sunday and watch the TOC this Sunday. And that's going to be our next thing, is we'll sit here and
pop quiz, hot shot.
Yeah, we'll sit here and drink and watch bowling shows.
I mean, no arguments here.
But that's very helpful. So after we talked about core dynamics, we talked about cover stock stuff. If you go watch the layout stuff, then we can put it all together and kind of explain what's going on in the bowlers' heads, or try as much as possible.
Yeah.
Explain a bunch of the behind the scenes things that you don't think about, that you might not see, that you might not understand while we're watching and kind of breaking down these shows. And it's a little bit different with this because I actually have been on a live telecast before. They had the NAIA championships a couple of years ago that I was fortunate. It was at Westridge.
Yeah, you were running.
So I got asked to be a guest commentator on ESPN 8, the Ocho. It was on ESPN3, and I really had no idea what I was doing.
It was online, yeah.
Yeah, but it was online only. But the color guy, or the guy that was running the show, was very good. He's normally a soccer guy, and so he didn't understand bowling at all. But he was very good at running the show. Huh. And I provided the kind of analyst thing. But when you're on a TV show and they have commercial breaks and they have more structure to it, you have to figure out how to explain a 10 or 15 minute conversation in like 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's all. Yeah,
and so it's very difficult and Belmo does an extremely good job.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Of explaining very detailed stuff very concisely and quickly.
Yeah.
But they just don't have, Randy doesn't have enough time to kind of get into stuff. And the color guy, which is Rob Stone, Dave Ryan, they have to kind of manage the show. And the other thing is you have an earpiece in, or you have a headset on, and you're constantly hearing stuff from the producer saying, okay, so we're going to do this. We're cutting to this camera, commercial break in a minute, whatever else. And so you're having to listen to that and all that information. And guys are terrible at this to begin with. And so every time somebody started talking to my ear, I stopped. I was in the middle of a sentence, instantly stopped talking. I'm like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah, you got to be able to keep talking while listening to that.
It was rough. And so it's quite a bit more complicated than you think it is. Just listen to the commentators, and you find yourself saying some of the dumbest, most trite, overused cliches ever because that's all you have the time for. So we'll be able to kind of analyze and take a little bit more time and go a little bit more in depth and talk about the stuff that they just can't really get to on the shows.
It'll be fun. Looking forward to it.
So yeah, hit the like button. I'd appreciate it.
Yep, give it the thumbs up.
That helps me on the YouTube side. So thanks everybody. Go check out the Morning Bolt on Facebook, on Storm Bowling's Facebook group page, whatever, and then watch the
Official
TOC
page,
match play at 11 o'clock. And we will see you next week with more brews.
More brews. Ready for it?
Yep.
Okay.
Go for it.
See you guys.
In stream.